just checking stuff out if you're on here. Just making sure that things are, like, you can see my stuff. Hello. Okay, this is kind of hard to read because there's a plant in the way. But, hey girl, hey! I'm reading scary stories and I'm gonna wait for a couple more people to join because, I love scary stories. Scary stories are like my thing. I love scary stuff in general. Hey! How y'all doing? Yeah, like I said, I'm just waiting. I have a dentist appointment today and I'm waiting for my grandma to pick me up. So, I'm here reading scary stories for people. You love my ring? Thank you. It was my great grandpa's. He passed away a while ago, but my grandma or my mom gave it to me because she said that she thought I'd like it. Tired. Oh, okay. I guess I'll start reading. So I'll give you guys a choice between The Dead Hand and Harold. I just read Harold on my TikTok live because I can, and I just hit 1,000 followers, or 1,100 followers, so I was able to go live, and I decided to read some stories. So, The Dead Hand, Harold. You want to read Harold? Let's read Harold. Just read Harold, and I love this story. It's like one of my all-time favorites, and it's also in the movie of the thing for Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, so let's do this. When it got hot in the valley, Thomas and Alfred drove their cows up to the cool green pasture in the mountains to graze. Usually they stayed down there with the cows for 2 months. When they brought them down to the valley again, the work was easy enough, but oh, it was boring. All day the two men tended the cows. At night they went back to the tiny hut where they lived. They ate supper and worked again in the garden. They worked in the garden and went to sleep. It was always the same. Then Thomas had an idea that changed everything. Let's make a doll the size of a man, he said. It would be fun to make, and we could put it in the garden to scare the birds. It should look like Harold, Alfred said. Harold was the farmer they both hated. They made the doll out of old sacks stuffed with straw. Then they gave it a pointy nose like Harold's and tiny eyes like his. They added dark hair and a twisted frown. Of course, they also gave it Harold's name. Each morning, on their way to the pasture, they tied Harold to a pole in the garden to scare away the birds. Each night, he brought him inside so he wouldn't get ruined in the rain. When they were feeling playful, they would talk to him. One of them might say, "How are the vegetables growing today, Harold?" Then the other, making believe he was Harold, would answer in a crazy voice very slowly. Then they would both laugh, but not Harold. Whenever something went wrong, they took it out on Harold. They would curse at him, even kick or punch him. Sometimes they would even take food they were eating, which they were both sick of, and smear all over and smear on the doll's face. "How do you like the stew, Harold?" he would ask. "Well, you better eat it, or else." Then the two men would howl with laughter. One night, after Thomas had wiped Harold's face with food, Harold grunted. "Did you hear that?" Alfred asked. "It was Harold," Thomas said. "I was watching him when it happened. I can't believe it." "How could he grunt?" Alfred asked. "He's just a sack of straw. It's not possible." "Let's throw him in the fire," said Thomas, "and that will be that." "Let's not do anything stupid," said Alfred. "We don't know what's going on. When we move the cows down, we'll leave him behind for now. Let's just keep an eye on him." So they left Harold sitting in a corner of the hut. They didn't talk to him or take him outside anymore. Now and then the doll grunted, but that was all. After a few days, they decided. I can't read. After a few days, they decided there was nothing to be afraid of. Maybe it was just a mouse or some insects that had gotten in Harold, and they were making those sounds. So Thomas and Alfred went back to their old ways. Each morning, I'm tired. Each morning, they would put Harold back in the garden, and each night they brought him back into the hut. When they felt playful, they joked around. They joked with him. Jesus Christ, I really can't read. Hold on, try to find my spot. Each night they brought him back into the hut. When they felt playful, they joked with him. When they felt mean, they treated him badly as ever. Then one night, Alfred noticed something that frightened him. Harold is growing, he said. I was thinking the same thing, Thomas said. Maybe it's just our imaginations, Alfred replied. We have been up here on this mountain for too long. The next morning, while they were eating, Harold stood up and walked out of the hut. He climbed on the roof and trotted back and forth like a horse on his hind legs. All day and all night, he trotted like that. In the morning, Harold climbed down and stood in the far corner of the pasture. The men had no idea what he would do next. They were afraid. They decided to take the cows down to the valley the same day. When they left, Harold was nowhere in sight. They felt as if they had escaped great danger and began joking and singing. But when they had gone only a mile or two, they realized they had forgotten to bring the milking stools. Neither one of them wanted to go back for them, but the stools would cost a lot to replace. There's really nothing to be afraid of, they told one another. After all, what could a doll do? They drew straws to see which one would go back. It was Thomas. I'll catch up with you, he said, and Alfred walked on toward the valley. When Alfred came to arise in the path, he looked back for Thomas. He did not see him anywhere, but he did see Harold, the doll, on the roof again, on the roof of the hut again. As Alfred watched, Harold kneed down and stretched out a bloody skin to dry in the sun. The end. My grandma's about to be here soon, so I'm gonna go, but I might do another one later. Actually, I have school later. Anyways, bye. Love you.